1839, Duncan Trussell.
This time they were dressed up like the founding fathers.
Joe looked like George Washington, though, like almost perfectly. You know what I mean? I wish he dressed like that all the time.
It would be pretty funny.
It's interesting how they say the Declaration of Independence or all like under this guise of the civility of what was going on, but it was just madness, and all the guys that signed it got killed. It's just not as smooth as it sounds. A bunch of guys in the room signed a paper, and America was happily ever after.
Well, it was a pretty tumultuous time in history, you know?
Is history ever smooth?
No. It's not a smooth system. But you think about the people.
Life is just not a smooth system.
The people, whatever category you want to tell them, but always division in that there were the people that decided we want to come to America and become our own people, and the other people were like, no, like, what are you doing? How long that took to weed out? Because when I went to school, our mascot was a loyalist.
When you went to school, your mascot was a loyalist.
Is that interesting?
It's funny. I feel like there's no fighting it. Like there was no way that, like the farther away you are from wherever, Britain, Spain, Portugal, whatever, after a certain amount of time, people aren't going to be like, yeah, we're British.
Eventually, you just adopt where you are.
Like,
well,
we're a constitutional monarchy, and people mock us for it. But like, believe me when I tell you, the Queen is involved in our country. Almost not at all. The Governor General.
No, but in order for us to get them to leave us alone, we had to be like, yeah, but you know,
sure,
we're still with you.
And I would say the majority of people who come here call themselves Canadian within 2 or 3 years.
You're talking about immigrants?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only people who
As
could come
opposed
here.
to what? Like British?
I live here, but I'm British. I live here, but I'm Sri Lankan. I live here. I mean, you are your background always, but
I don't think I understand what you're saying.
If you visit Canada, you're going to be from some other place. If you move to live here, you adopt being a Canadian.
Isn't that what everybody does?
Yes and no. I think
I don't know.
I think if you're British, it's a little bit different. I think if you're from a place that is like war torn,
fucking.
No, I don't mean it like that.
ground.
I just mean like if you're American and you move here, I doubt you're ever like, I'm a Canadian. I don't think any American that moves here is like, I'm Canadian.
If you have an obvious British accent, then you just can't do it, right? Nobody's ever gonna buy it that you're American.
No, that's not true. Because like if you were, let's say you were like Indian, but you had like a British accent and you came here and you were like,
okay, sure. If you're a white guy with a British accent, nobody's gonna ever buy that you're American.
I just mean like if you're from a place that isn't, you know, there isn't famine, war. I think you tend to maybe move other places and just say, you know, I live here, but.
If you're higher up the economic status, you would retain your nationality more.
Well,
it depends because that person might go back to Britain. They might go back to the States.
And then they're British again.
I think there's someone who, like, I know a lot of Sri Lankans
Maybe what I
that
said was stupid.
No, I don't think it was stupid. We're discussing it. I knew a lot of Sri Lankans that were like, I would never ever go back and live in Sri Lanka. I'm Canadian.
Wait for the post, Joe, about Sri Lanka.
Okay. But you know what I mean? Like, I think there are people that are like, I am from where I'm from and I'm proud of it, but I could never go back and live there. I am now Canadian.
Well,
I am now American. I am
people who want to
British,
become
whatever.
Canadian or British or whatever, they, take the fucking course and what do you call that?
Like they get adopted by a country, basically.
Yeah, what do
You
you
think
call
that's what makes you Canadian? Is
Nationalization.
taking the fucking stupid
Becoming
test?
a citizen. Becoming a
Yeah,
citizen.
becoming a citizen. You're not Canadian until you become a citizen. It doesn't matter if you're from somewhere else.
Legally,
That's where you're
Yeah, but
from until you.
we're not talking about legalities. Like,
And also, if you're someplace longer than where you were from.
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
yeah, like I know people that were born, you know, like here's a good example. My uncle, he moved around a lot. He worked for the Canadian government. So like his wife is from France. Their first child was born in Germany. Their second child was born in South Africa.
So all those are different nationalities within a family.
This is what I'm saying. Like the
But they're all wherever he's from, Canadian.
Well, I think they all have like, you know, I think my cousin right now is living in France. My other cousin still lives in Canada, but it, you know,
Living the life.
those are the weird ones where it's like if you were born in South Africa, spent 4 years there, and then moved to Canada and grew up here, like you probably feel Canadian. You're not going to be like, "Hey, I'm South African."
I love that accent. Well, what a risk it was taken to do that, and it's turned out. Like, we all love America, even with all its problems and madness. The entertainment it puts out.
I love the
the
States.
stuff, the cities, the action.
I fucking love the U.S.
You got a minute.
I know that Simon is like, if this thing took off, we were making $1 million a year each. I know Simon's the only thing keeping us here.
Because Simon loves Canada more than America.
No, I don't think Simon's wife would move to the States.
You could find
fact-
a nice place in Vermont, I bet.
I would live in Vermont.
Yeah.
There are plenty of nice places in the States.
Of course, it's America.
But we're not Americans. We're Canadians.
Doesn't matter. Once you're rich, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Then you can be by
Well, then you just
coastal or whatever.
well, then you spend 6 months in the summer here, so you keep your OHIP, and then you just go and spend the
Everyone's
winters down there.
nationality is based on the economics, and then you have the elite,
Yeah.
which we'll get into later. Coral Castle. Do you know anything?
Coral Castle.
The
yeah,
Coral
we've
Castle.
talked about it before on this show. It's that weird little Yugoslavian guy or whatever, and he built the Coral Castle, which are like
Yeah, we have spoken.
each
about it,
block are like tons of this coral, and he moved them around by himself. And not only that, they made him move Coral Castle. Like, I guess he lost his lease or something, and he did the whole move overnight one night, and nobody saw him do it. Like, this guy definitely has some weird secret.
I
They
heard
think
the
it's in a box, because in some of the pictures, I'm sorry, am I doing something wrong here?
yeah. What do you mean?
Okay.
Your voice?
When it cuts out?
Yeah, I don't know. Just roll with it.
Anyways,
I'll turn all that shit off in the second half, and we'll just go back to raw.
in some of the pictures, because the way he said he did it was by using the secrets of the Egyptians, but he does it with like
Sounds and
it's
vibrations.
Just him, a tripod, like a crane-y type tripod thing that he built, and this black box that shows up in some of the pictures, and nobody has any idea what it is. So who knows? Maybe that's some like anti-gravity device, but that's a fucking crazy story that nobody ever talks about.
I heard the exact same story from someone else last Sunday, a week ago today.
Just coincidentally about Coral Castle.
No, they were just talking about suppression of for types of energy, the way to do stuff. Like, you know, it all comes back to climate, why we depend on oil. And I mean, everyone goes for wind and sun, but a lot of people don't even think those are viable, nuclear or X factor, I guess.
But this guy is dead now, I believe. So I guess there's no way to figure out how the hell he did anything.
Oh, he's gone now.
I believe so, yeah.
And no one wanted to interview him. And it's just one of those
Well, no,
mysteries.
they did interview him, but it seems like one of those things that, you know, the fucking NASA would have been involved in, like would have wanted to have known, the same way they had, or whoever, not NASA, the CIA, whoever, they had a lot of interest in a Skinwalker Ranch. Like, we're finding out now that they spent hundreds of millions of dollars doing experiments there. This seems like something they probably should have put some research
Well,
into.
NASA would want to interview this guy if they were actually going anywhere. But they probably thought it was just a waste of time.
Or NASA had satellites on him the whole time, and they saw him just truck like they're hollow rocks. You know what I mean? He sees them just.
Yeah.
Like, they
There's
know
nothing
this-
in. He's just putting him on his
That's it. It's on
shoulder.
his
and
yeah, he's just walking
over.
him out.
It's just him and a mule. No, it's pretty. Like, I don't do the story justice. Obviously, I suggest that anybody who may or not be listening go look for themselves, because it really is like a fucking. It's a mystery. It's a real life mystery.
They mentioned the obelisk from the Graham Hancock episode,
Obelisk.
which we did for the throwback, and it was so fresh. I felt like just an expert. Like, Joe, I'll step in here and tell Duncan about it.
Well, a lot of people believe that the obelisks were actually
Butt plugs.
no,
Hey,
but they
I'm
were
here all week.
First of all, they were way older than they get given credit for. They have etchings on them, like hieroglyphs, that were put on many, many, many years later, and that's how they date them, right? It would be like, you know, there being a mailbox, you putting graffiti on it, and then them dating the mailbox to your graffiti.
I was just thinking, because no one's ever lifted those obelisks.
Well, people believe it was they use them to lift other things. They were like power sources.
Okay, that's interesting. But what if they just carved them out to make it look like this was a block we were going to move.
Oh, that's
to throw
interesting.
everyone off.
And the real obelisks, they actually carved in place from like a megalithic stone.
Just a thought experiment.
Well, you know what's really cool too, and I know we've talked about this before, but when like the Romans went in and sacked Egypt, they took giant obelisks back to Rome. Like you can go to like the Parthenon in Rome, and they have, I don't know this for a fact, but some places in Rome, and they have, no, the Parthenon is in Egypt. Sorry. You can go to certain places in Rome and see these giant
Isn't it in
obelisks.
Greece?
Yeah. The Parthenon is in Greece. Sorry, not Egypt. Is in Greece.
This is the worst. history
Anyways,
lesson
point
ever.
is,
Listen, we're dumb. People know it. They
No,
call us on it
No,
all the time.
I'm
been
trying to
there.
follow. I'm trying. Oh, it's even
I've
worse.
been there.
Even worse.
The obelisks in Rome, all over Italy, they have all sorts of Egyptian shit. They fucking loved Egypt. They thought it was very important. And when they went in there and took it over, they brought things back with them, which obviously they would do. Thrones, this, that. But they brought back those obelisks. Those things are so fucking giant. They would have had to bring them over on giant barges attached to boats. You know what I mean?
You know why that's interesting, and it segues back into this episode, is that Duncan talked about the well, they're just talking about major construction stuff, but the library,
Of Alexandria.
no, the
No,
Catholic
at
Church.
the one in the
That's
Vatican.
where it is now, yeah.
So we should know, because of record keeper, whatever, how the Romans moved the Egyptian stuff, but we don't.
They probably know how the Egyptians moved the Egyptian stuff.
And I think that's a crime. Like,
I agree.
Like that library that is now in the Vatican, which, think about it, okay, Kamar, they say that there was a giant fire at the Library of Alexandria, and they lost all of the records in a fire. If you were a country that had taken over a place, you would go in, you would, destroy everything, but you wouldn't burn up all the stuff. You would take it with you and burn the actual structure of the library.
I mean, we don't know that for sure. I'm just saying, like, look at ISIS. They ran through and just destroyed all sorts of ancient.
Again, they did destroy
That's to
certain
erase a
things,
culture.
for sure.
Well, I'm just saying, though, there's a chance that, yeah, you just say,
abs-
fuck the knowledge. We're just burning it all. Especially if, and just hear me out, in religious times, you might look at all the information in there as blasphemy.
Totally.
I'm just playing the devil's
Yeah,
advocate
no,
there. That's
totally. And I understand why they would break statues and, like I get that. I just think that the paper, the actual books, the information, a lot of that got transferred to, what is now Vatican, but, along the lines. And we know this, like, this is exactly what we're talking about. They have a
Well,
library
they have all
down
the
there.
art. So that's one.
They have a literal library that is
I know.
so many books, like manuscripts that nobody has ever seen.
and what we know about working groups and collaboration and knowledge, that should be all open source, right? If we wanted the best for humanity to, like, there must be some answer to one thing that is a mystery.
For sure.
And if there's more, all the better. But like, it's suppression again, like big oil, big religion.
It really does seem crazy. Like what? And this is it's far out. But what if they're sitting on like the cure for cancer in there, or
Oh, I've heard that's been cured 100 times over.
zero sum energy, or zero, you know what I mean? 0 point energy, or some other fucking levitation, or something that's
Vibrations,
just buried in there.
And there's never a lot of, like, maybe it was that Tom Hanks movie or whatever, but I've never seen it in a movie. Like someone's trying to break in the Catholic library, just as a, like, the powers that be don't even want it mentioned.
The only one that did it was that Dan Brown one there, the Da Vinci Code.
Anunnaki gold. I find it hard to believe
That's what
that.
he was talking about, the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
What did he say?
He said that Tom Hanks movie.
So I just agreed.
I'm with
him.
you.
You filled in the blank.
We're all in agreement.
The Anunnaki need us to get the gold. Just seems like they must have super technology, but then they go this rudimentary way of like creating society to do it. Maybe they're just sick.
That's a great point. You have the capacity to travel through galaxies, yet you're going to get monkeys to dig up the gold.
It's like
it just doesn't.
they're perverted.
It seems like you could just drop a robot, some sort of drone off that would much quicker than waiting like however many thousand
a
years.
billion years. You make evolution
Sure.
or whatever.
Yeah, it seems like
It's a sick joke.
Just seems like it would be easier to do it yourself if you have that
It's a
technology.
seriously slow roll.
Like, think about us, Simon. Okay, as humans, if we could travel to the next galaxy over and we found a planet that was rich with all the coltan, all the gold, whatever we need to make stuff, and there were like, I don't know, some sort of like creature living there, would we really try to get that creature to dig up the gold? No.
we just take it.
I mean, we
We
might
would.
use that creature like a horse to like help us move the gold, but we
Well,
wouldn't.
then that beats back.
Well,
to
then
the
that's one
Yankees.
step away from mutating them, fucking with their genetics, and
You
making
talked,
them a
you
more
talked me right back into it there, Matt.
effective
Okay.
mule. Like, I think you just space muled us into this, you know?
Yeah.
Or what did
Really,
you say,
how much?
donkey?
How much gold
Quit
have
while
you
you're ahead.
mined? I'm just asking out of curiosity. In your life, you're in your 40s. How much
Oh,
gold
I
have
see.
you mined?
Well, we part of that.
I'll leave that open for Kamar too. How much gold have you mined?
Part of that story, Matt, is that the monkeys become sentient
Yeah.
and stop mining the gold, but it's still in our DNA to value gold, and people do, Matt. Just because I don't mine gold and Kamar doesn't mine gold doesn't mean there's lots of people who don't trade gold and
We trade
buy
everything.
gold and use gold,
But
wear
maybe
gold.
okay. So maybe these, what are they called again? The Anunnaki. Maybe they wanted basketball cards. Maybe they were really just here for basketball cards.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Well, we trade
but-
basketball cards. We value basketball cards. So
No, but it's all about gold. What do you mean? Why are you bringing basketball cards?
because
into
you're
this?
just you're making it gold because we
No,
love gold.
The Anunnakis made it gold.
No,
That's what
he's being
Zachariah
literal, and now you're
Zachariah
said.
Sitchin made it gold.
He's being literal. You're being hypothetical.
No, but I mean
that's a good point,
that's
too.
the fucking story. That's
all
what
made
we're
up.
talking about.
yeah.
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 Now you're talking about basketball cards? That doesn't even make any
But
sense.
why don't they want diamonds? Because that's more valuable than gold.
Because the gold is what they needed.
First
for...
of all, what we value has nothing to do with what they feel.
You got
Okay,
me.
stop. The gold is what they needed for their civilization because it stops the sun's rays from.
But they
like-
didn't need it in a rush because they're going to take thousands of years to extract it. We can wait. I mean, we need this, but we can wait.
Why? How long in that story does it take man to evolve? Like into a version of us that they can use.
I don't know.
We started as monkey. I don't think it takes that long. I think it was like that.
But I don't. Okay, I'm lost here. So,
Okay.
at what point do we start mining the gold for them? Monkeys? Is that?
No, when we become like the monkey man hybrid, that's like, okay, so here's the story as far as I understand it, Matt. I didn't fucking write the story.
Well, you're
so
getting pretty
don't-
aggressive. So it
don't
sounds,
get
mad
it
at
sounds like
me,
you wrote
okay?
it. Is your
So-
pen name Zachariah Sitchin? Because I'm a little
You
concerned
figured
now.
me out, man.
Yeah.
You figured me out. So as far as I understand it, the story is that the Anunnaki come here. They see that that there's gold on Earth, and they need gold for their home planet to stop whatever is happening there. Okay, I don't know what it is. But they need the gold. And they don't want to do the work here, so they look around and they see what animal looks like it can like get them gold the best. That would be the monkey. Has opposable thumbs. It's walking around, and it then mutates us somehow with a monkey, and we become
So I like. Can I?
slaves who will
Okay.
mine their gold. But because we have this special gene or whatever, I don't know.
Can I poke a small hole in this?
I don't know. I don't even know if I'm telling the story
Okay.
right. So
Okay.
you can poke holes if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, he's got you there.
Well,
Matt.
I just think he's
Can't
got me.
look.
What do you mean he's got me there? I asked if I could poke a hole in it,
I'm
and
just
then
not
you
the-
said he's got you there, Matt.
you could poke a hole in something that's already Swiss cheese because it's not like he's committed to
it's
something.
Swiss cheese. Exactly.
How about even if using your story as the truth?
Yes.
Sure.
Now
Zachariah's
you can
story.
poke a hole in the truth.
At what point do the Anunnaki write this down or tell us all of what you just said?
I have no fucking idea. Oh, we find it on the tablets. I don't know. Yeah, because it's all.
So
from
they left
the,
a to-do list.
It's
they
all
just
from the
accident-
cuneiform tablets.
Okay, so they
cuneiform
accidentally
tablets.
left. These guys that can travel through galaxies,
Yeah,
they accidentally
we
left
got
a
stuck on this
tablet.
because I wanted to get back to that. Like you're
Often we get stuck on this.
so if you're, let's say you're an alien species, all right? Excuse me.
Let's do that.
Whoa, pardon us.
We assume that in order to get here, they would have to be so intelligent or whatever that once they got here, why can't they just use their like sophisticated drones to go and do all the work? Why do they need these monkey people? And I guess I would just say to that, the same way, like, think about us, okay? We're so useless humans, you know what I mean? In the big scheme of things, we are what we are.
Can't even sleep on the ground.
We can't even get to Mars, you know what I mean? But one day we may find like an X factor, I don't know what that is, that like speeds up our progression to get to Mars. It doesn't mean that we still don't have flying cars on Earth, but we'll find a X factor that gets us to Mars. That's all I'm saying, Matt. These aliens could be like dum-dums, but know how to use portals. Because maybe a portal was left to them in a will or something, you know what I mean?
Listen, if they're leaving tablets
They have
behind,
wills.
they're obviously.
I think that's a human
No,
thing.
I'm just
It's a
saying
will.
like I don't mean wills, I mean like their ancestors figured it all out and they're like a dumb society.
So they have
now
lawyers that
who's
drop
just-
these wills?
Forget it. Intergalactic wills, come on.
We don't know what we're doing.
Humans?
We don't. Like,
No, we have no idea.
because Duncan started talking about how he thinks the AI is the alien. He should have talked to the next guest
Yeah.
a bit, I think, to give a rounder idea of what AI is. But that would be interesting. Is it's like a parasite or something,
Well, we're expecting an alien to come from space and really
but it builds itself
coming-
within like a tapeworm or something. But we don't know what we're doing, and they use the example of it's almost human nature to advance till we fuck it all up. Like that's the inevitability. We're not supposed to just smooth everything out. The Tower of Babel, that was going to be a great thing. It crumbles. I was trying to think of the other
I
example
don't think
they
that
used.
was a literal story. I don't think they actually built this giant tower.
Life is supposed to go extinct. Example, the dinosaurs, unless the dinosaurs would still be here, except there was a meteor or whatever extinction event was, correct? Extinction's natural. It's not like we use extinction as a pejorative because it sounds harsh, but it's natural things. 90% of everything's gone extinct, and it didn't go extinct because of humans. We've only been in a position to make things go extinct, what, 200 years?
And that's why I guess you have to get off your planet if you want your species to survive.
Because part of it is for it to
You just think that everything goes
go by.
extinct.
Well, yeah.
90% of every creature on Earth has gone extinct.
I think it's 99, but I could be wrong.
So that's
But
not
maybe-
extinction is a bad thing.
But that was everything until humans. You know what I mean? Like that's always the argument is we are so special.
But
We're
we're
much more special
we
than anything
and our
else. I'm
plastic
just
making
playing devil's
selves are
advocate here.
just as part of this planet as anything else. We just
I mean, maybe.
like beaver dams fuck up stuff. Do you know their survival technique floods something else and kills makes a dam
Yeah.
that floods out?
And they don't feel bad about that.
No, they do not.
But we do. And that's the difference between us and turtles or beavers, rather.
We're just so foolish because we do not know what we're doing.
Well, we assume, we don't know what we're doing. Look, we'll never be around to see it anyways.
If we all knew we were on the same page, which we don't, but every single country, everyone, when they went to bed at night, thought of like a value or virtue that we all are working for, then we might know what we're doing, but we're not. We're all going in different directions on the same place. That's what I think. But that being said, they talked about the text to art AI. And I tried it. It didn't work out very well. but
What was that? The text?
you could write something and it'll just
text to art. Gotcha.
generate the art. It's called Night Cafe. It didn't work. I said Bart Simpson dancing, and it looks like it's got the yellow of Bart in it, but none of it makes sense. But obviously, we're in the early days. And then there'll be content on demand. As much as you describe, you could have made. Do you know what I mean? Every day you could pick all these categories, for lack of a better example, porn. You decide the age, the thing, and it'll generate it and you'll see it. And then you say, next week, I want a pizza man. Or whatever you can imagine, you'll be able to just create with AI. Which just is insane. Forget about everyone's a director, producer.
Yeah, but that's kind of weird.
writer.
Like, right now, could you picture your perfect woman? And when I say that, what you're probably going to do is picture a woman you've already seen.
Well, that'd be interesting if you describe what your perfect woman and then you didn't like them. So you don't even know what you know, because we do not know what we're doing.
But that's what I'm saying is like you probably don't know what the perfect woman for you looks like. You know what I mean? It's a weird, I don't know. Like you could maybe
your
do body type.
Your consciousness knows what you like, but you don't actually know what you like.
Yeah.
I think there's
Well, I mean, I think you would probably have a pretty good guess.
Yeah, but like I said, you would probably use like if you're watching porn, you probably search for a certain porn star or maybe a genre or something. But like you know what I mean? You have something that you have a baseline to already use. Like if you grew up in a cubicle with no
You're
and never
saying
saw anyone.
something totally different could come along, and that could be the thing that's perfect.
But if you have Neuralink, it might be able to tap into actually project what in your head you imagine some girl's eyes that you knew in the 80s and the hair of this person, and it just makes them.
Well, and I'm assured that having to translate that through your mouth, you lose a lot, right? So the second you'll be able to do that right through your thoughts.
I'm going to put this out there. I think Joe already has Neuralink implanted.
Ooh,
And I think that part of having Neuralink is like, think about how we have ads now, right? Like they're always like, they're pop up, they're always like jammed in somewhere. It would be interesting if you get Neuralink and the fine print that you didn't read says that like every half hour you will inadvertently advertise Neuralink. Like you'll just shoehorn it into a conversation, or you know what I mean? And it's almost
everything that's happening would speak to that being
if
true.
you think about it, that's how all advertisers actually want. They always want that baked in natural. Yeah, and Joe is constantly like, I mean, what they could do is use Neuralink, you know, like smile for the camera.
All about that Neuralink coming down the pike. And you sit here.
I thought you had like a real theory about Joe.
Well, no.
Using Neuralink.
Well, he's already got scars on his head.
I
so
equate it to
it's a perfect cover.
Getting vaccinated wouldn't make you pro-vaccination or something like that, or changes the same idea, right? Just as another example. If you got the Neuralink, then you sell the Neuralink. If you get the vaccine, you sell the vaccine.
Oh,
if
I
you
see.
drink Coke, you're like, I'm just trying to other examples of it. I think there might be a problem with psychedelics and business getting involved. It seems sort of counterintuitive, especially with mushrooms.
But business has always been involved. You just don't like big business. Like there's always been a transaction. Rarely have you been given a bag of mushrooms for free.
Yeah, okay. I don't think but everyone could grow their own mushrooms. If it had been encouraged from a kid, like it wasn't legal ever, everyone would just have their own mushroom patch, or could. It's not rocket science. Like it's way more technical to grow weed than mushrooms. And when the corporations get involved and competition, I hope it works out for the best, but it seems
there are good
weird
things
marriage.
and there are bad things. I like the idea of like dosages being right,
and they have the R&D to get it all right.
And and then you end up with the best innovations too, because you actually have teams who are. But listen, I get what you're saying. It can ruin it
seems
too,
natural.
You know? You get the good with the bad. You're gonna end up with real shitty, but you'll end up with great mushrooms too. So
we'll see.
No, I mean we're seeing it with weed, right? Like. There's garbage out there, and then there's good stuff, and you just have to like weed your way through the marketplace. Wade your way through the marketplace.
Weed your way through. But I think it's like the benefits of marijuana are way more for like pain, and the benefits of mushrooms are way more for like mental health and sort of some weird clarity. Like, you guys have microdose in the last 3 years after you haven't you?
I microdose fairly often.
Yeah, it's all right. Do you?
Nope.
It makes a difference. I'm telling you. We got some.
You're
really
never going to
mushrooms.
convince him to do it.
No, I definitely will.
Now
it's not done. When it's done properly, I will be a fucking participant.
And now that your kid's out of the house,
what's properly though? You used to take mushrooms.
Yeah.
And you used to buy those off some teenager that you knew.
Yep, totally.
So I just like right now, you just don't. What is it that you don't trust about the mushrooms?
I know.
That we get?
I think I know what it is.
Just dosages and things like that.
Because I got news for you.
I don't think that's it.
It's the same dude.
Nothing's changed.
When you bought it when you were 13, it's the exact same guy.
Yeah, I got you.
Well,
I know what you're saying.
What Duncan spoke about, and what I think part of it is for you, is for the last 18 years, you've been in parent mode. And a big thing of these things, there's no way I could do that because people who depend on me, if they had to depend on me and I was screaming at the sky or whatever, I would never forgive myself. I'm not going to put myself in that position. But you're returning to single Simon, sort of. I mean, you married 22 years. Congratulations, but
20.
Your responsibilities are leaving the house.
I could do mushrooms for sure.
I think you will. And I think you enjoy it.
No, listen.
No, but even then, when you're talking about
we're talking about
microdosing, you don't even notice.
Well, no, I'm
You're
talking
not
about
even,
heroic doses as well.
No,
Okay.
I'm not doing
Mix
any
it up.
doses. I have no interest.
No, like if Simon started taking a fucking 0.2 every morning and afternoon,
does nothing.
or morning
Does
and night,
nothing but make you
wouldn't
feel
feel
better.
anything other than just slightly better.
You can drive, you can deal with crisis, whatever. You're just in a better mood. I thought it was interesting when Duncan talked about, people stuck in a rut need to kill that person to move forward. And that's a scary sort of prospect. Like the literal ego death. If you're making bad decisions and stuff, you have to realize that and then realize that person's going to die. And a lot of people, like hoarding mentality, don't want to let go. And that might be impediment. I was talking to Matt, if we have a healthcare like this, mental health, like psychologists should be covered, eh?
Of course.
That's
yeah.
just as important as me getting to go to an appointment or subsidized at least.
And dentists.
Well, that's on the table right now.
Yeah, he was saying if we get dental like in the next year, then he said the only thing we're missing at that point is them doing more for mental health.
And I think that would be the biggest help for everyone.
I have a feeling that if you really wanted to see a psychologist,
There's programs and grants or whatever.
yeah, we shouldn't. It's probably a conflict of interest with our
It's-
advertising.
I'd go to BetterHelp.
It's one or the other, psychologist or psychiatrist. One of them is
One of them
covered
can
by
prescribe.
OHIP.
One of them can
No, no,
prescribe
no.
drugs, and the other can't.
Oh, I know. No, I'm saying one of them is covered by OHIP and the other is not. I just can't remember which
The
one.
drugs
is
are covered by OHIP. And I would suggest the Canadian government could subsidize your BetterHelp. Whatever. Aversion, desire, ignorance. These are like the impediments to enlightenment for human beings. I have a friend who's been practicing Buddhism a little bit more than Duncan. He sort of thinks he's a weekend warrior as a Buddhist.
He thinks Duncan is a weekend warrior.
He does an
I think we know who you're talking about.
I think we all know about Devil, but he does an amazing impression of him because he talks all the same. Like he's well versed in it. But if you could get rid of all your resignations, resents, all these things, that's how you get enlightened, and that's how my friend also believes people have astral projected themselves to the pyramids or to anything, but only can you do this once you reach enlightenment. Everything else is just like a roadblock to doing this. So they agree there.
It's interesting though. So your friend, let's say, and Duncan believe you can astral project yourself to the pyramids. And then there are other people who believe they can do that, men who stare at goats,
yeah.
where same kind of idea, like they're pretty much astro projecting themselves to another place, but not through meditation, through whatever.
But that whatever might end up being a meditation still.
Exactly, just a different view of meditation. I find it very
Semantics.
interesting. It is semantics.
What Duncan said and my friend said is the whole thing about Buddhism is attacking everything. There is no truth or finite. Everything can be questioned, and once you question everything, that's another. These are all ways to enlightenment, and all, of course, you use meditation to do these things. Then they
All things are true.
all things are true, and nothing is true.
As above, so below.
Sissa. Then they talked about abortion. Do you guys have a number?
Whoa. What?
They talk about abortion,
Yeah.
and is there a number where you're like, that's too long, or is 9 months,
I thought you
or
were-
we don't have to talk about it?
I
at
thought
all?
you were asking a
Are
different
you
question.
kidding me? There should be like 600 trimester abortions. This 9-year-old, he sucks. Let's get rid of him. Done.
Yeah, that's rich.
There's some comedian who does that where full term abortion is 18 years old.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you can find out if your kid's a dick or not, and you're just like, no, we're done.
Yeah.
We all agree.
I think it's Jay Moore.
I think it has to do with like if you live somewhere densely populated, I think it's easier to be for abortion. Whereas I think if you live rural and your neighbors are all like 5 miles apart.
One person thinks there's too many people, and one person thinks.
Yeah, if you've
More
ever
the
been stuck in
merrier.
traffic for an hour, you have to be pro-abortion.
I'm never having kids. Yeah. But that actually we'll get into that in the next one because that's what the elites want you to think.
Here we go. Klaus Schwab.
The Hillary Clinton body count is funny.
Yeah.
Or
well, it's funny if you haven't been suicided by them.
Do you think it's a conspiracy theory?
I mean, how is it conspiracy when like it just can't be? If it was 5 people, you could be like, okay, this is. But like once, I don't know, what's the threshold of people that have killed themselves or die mysteriously where
If
you have
nothing
to?
less, we'll say it's fishy.
25, it's not funny anymore. That's how it goes. Anything
That's your
under
number?
25 is
Okay.
funny, and then
But conspiracy theory has now become a bad word. Or for me, the evolution, conspiracy theory used to just be fun, and now it like discredits you, or you get late. Like it's almost like conspiracy theorists is an ad hominem attack, like racist or sexist or whatever. You have nothing else to say, so you say that. Would you agree? It's pejorative.
Yes and no. I don't know. Like, again, if I say you sound like a conspiracy theorist, I mean a specific, like, if you can't go to a dinner party without bringing up multiple conspiracies, then yeah, I'm saying it in the pejorative. But like, if you once in a while are like, man, this is fucking, don't you find this weird? You know what I mean?
But everything changes if every conspiracy they espouse to becomes true.
But okay,
And then you're just asleep.
hold on. It's more likely that it's somewhere in the middle, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's going to be coincidences along the way.
I'm just saying there's no way, like, if you sat down with a conspiracy theorist, there's no way that he's banging 100 out of 100.
I'd like to sit down with more and just find out if they're all the same. Like it's QAnon, flat Earth. Like, is there a through line, or is there just like well they talk about in politics, you either got to be Republican or Democrat.
no, of course I don't think you have to meet with people to tell you that, Kamara. I think that's
I don't
pretty
have to do
self-evident.
anything. I would like to know.
There
from
are
my own.
different. First of all, everybody has that line in the sand, right? Like, I believe, and then I don't believe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that line varies for everybody, you know?
I
I don't know what your line is.
I don't know anything anymore.
Flat Earth. That used to be like the line in the sand.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But like your
But that's-
Buddhist,
that's before I
like
got
your
information.
Buddhist
That's before I got
friend
information.
said, we don't fucking know anything.
Well, he's pretty sure it's not flat.
Oh, so wait a second.
Yeah.
He thinks that we don't know anything, but he knows that the Earth isn't flat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's like that doesn't make any sense.
And I think that's indoctrination. As I said, always seeing a globe. But you'd think there'd be half and half because some of the globes you saw were flat on a wall. If you never saw a globe, it'd be a lot easier.
They
to
shouldn't
believe
call
flat
it flat Earth. They should call it map Earth.
Map Earth.
Map Earth versus whatever.
Globe Earth.
Globe Earth. Yeah, Globe Earth. Exactly.
Do you guys think debate has lost its value and people are like more afraid of listening to other ideas?
For sure.
Yeah. They comment on that. The forefathers like, a debate, we're having a debate. And now I was like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to debate this.
Oh, I wasn't talking like from our forefathers. I just think in the last couple of years it's become like that.
It's just too many feelings have got involved, and we have forgotten that our similarities outweigh any ideas we possibly could have.
Our similarities as
We
being
all need
human.
oxygen. We all need, we're all here for a finite period of time. As Joe said, be nice. There's no way someone can quantify that life is better if they're a dick.
Yeah.
You always, I'm pretty sure I'm always trying to be nice, like to anybody. I give spare change to homeless people. I'm not trying to virtue signal or whatever, but I try to smile at every single person I see and wish no ill will to them.
And I mean, really, if you're having a good time, you probably don't have a ton of time to be a dick because you're having such a good time.
Unfortunately, there's got to be some dicks out there that are having a good time and so it's perpetuate. Donald Trump.
Unless they have a good time being a dick. And then,
No, but he's right. There's like, look at Dave Portnoy. He looks like he's just out there having the best time ever. But you're right. Then I look at Donald Trump and I'm like, this guy could be having the best time ever, but chooses to be out there being an asshole.
Or is betrayed. And we just
No,
like-
I think
like-
no.
No, you're saying there's no way Dave's an asshole.
Yeah, I'll put it to
He
you this
only
way.
shows what we want him to see.
No. Like,
Yeah.
listen, Dave Portnoy.
I mean, I love him.
Dave Portnoy is the age now that Donald Trump was during the Central Park Five. There's no reason that a billionaire real estate guy should be like pushing for the DA of New York to fry 5 black kids that they have no proof did anything, who are all proven innocent for the record. Why would Donald Trump do that? And that's just like a small piece of his dick.
I'll just throw it out there. I'm not defending. He maybe had bad information.
Either way. My point is just like, if,
I'd rather focus on the shitty things he does now.
fine, I'm just saying there's a long list of, it's not like he just became an asshole. This guy's been a dick forever.
Yeah, it's his thing. He made a whole television show based on it.
My point is this: if either of you were worth north of $1 billion, I don't know, what would you be doing with your time?
I wouldn't be on Twitter or any. I would just be on
19-year-olds.
an island somewhere. You know, that's what I mean. If you're having a good time, I just don't think you have like the bandwidth in your day to. If you're like being shitty to other people, it's because there's a part of you that is missing something. You know. And I'm not saying that I'm not shitty to other people. Like
You are, aren't
I'm
you?
missing all sorts of things. I'm saying like if
You
you're
try to be
truly
nice,
happy,
don't you?
I do, yeah. I mean, I believe in karma a lot, you know. So the idea of being shitty to people
Well,
just
that-
seems like it'll come back and bite you.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
believe in that.
I'm sorry to
No way.
to bring this back up, but that was what my one friend said. Who he's totally pro-choice, but he's like at the same time, I believe in karma, and I do not know if that means something.
Like you're bringing it back to Roe versus Wade now?
If someone chooses to have an abortion, maybe that brings bad karma on them, or
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
But he was saying, I'm not telling anyone what to do. The same as no one is telling anyone what to do. I don't
You
want to
could
get
also
into it.
say if you step on an anthill, that's terrible karma. On that same note,
I've
right?
watched him stop painting to move some ants. To like, I kill bugs indiscriminately, always. Someone who really does it the other way, just
I invented a new item to kill bugs this weekend. It's called the fly slaughter.
and then have you ever
And
heard?
Oh, trademark that.
Yeah, trademark TM. It's my slipper.
Have you ever heard that? Like, obviously, it makes sense that whoever created this would put the majority of in the embodiment of themselves, and the most things on the planet is insects. So God is an insect. Who knows what it is?
Why, if you're God, why would you make your people able to be stepped on and shit by a lesser species? That seems weird.
Maybe he fucked up and thinks that they're way bigger. Anyways, the point being is, if that was true, you get to heaven and the insects are like, "You're out of here, bud," unless you didn't kill anyone.
Or you just get into heaven and you're just stepping on ants all
Give
over.
me the
There's
raid.
an ant at the door. Well, look who's here.
You've been busy.
Well, it's kind of that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It's mouse.
It's the mice, and they are running the computer program. And then, you know, if you ended up in front of those mice, you better hope you had been nice to mice.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot more here. I think I'll wrap some of it up in the post, Joe. But the animal kingdom is far more savage than all your school shootings put together. I mean, it's different. It's for survival, but all the violence that we are scared of has nothing to compare with. You know, like a fox comes in and kills a family of mice daily, right?
Yeah,
Just
okay.
savagery.
Fine. I don't like that you brought the school shootings into it, but
Sorry, there was a bar shooting in South Africa. 50 people. Like, the world's a horrible place. The animal kingdom's much more horrible, but it's in a different way.
I think you'd feel differently if you were like, a man went into a bar in South Africa and shot 10 people to feed his family. I mean, it's still weird as fuck, but
I think it was violent.
I
but
just think it's weird to compare the two things.
I understand, and that's why as it came out of my mouth, I was like, "This is not a good example." But
still said it.
the animal kingdom is so savage; it's just off the charts to what we think is violence. If we disappear, do all the houses eventually get inhabited, or are they just locked? because they talked about this as we've talked about this. How long before everything goes away? How your pyramids still stay around? Do you think houses would get overrun with animals?
Houses will get overrun. Yeah, I mean, for a while they'll use them as homes until they collapse.
It
and
depends
then,
how fast we disappear and who left the window.
like
open.
those houses are going to disappear.
Well, how
in
how
hundreds
long?
of years.
Yeah, what do you mean?
And
After a certain amount of time, unless it's made of stone, it's going to disappear.
Okay, but that's like a lot of time, right? Like your home isn't just going to disintegrate in 50 years. There's a lot of homes in Ottawa that have been around for
not
like
50 years. No,
hundreds.
I would think, maybe thousands.
like there's a lot of brick homes in Ottawa that those will last.
Sure. The point is, the only things that would be left would be giant stone structures.
Steel.
No, I think steel would go away too, but
Rust?
I'm not positive about that.
And why would it go away?
I think it fucking disintegrates
leaky roof.
You think steel disintegrates?
after a certain amount of time. Yeah,
Interesting.
Not stainless
what
steel?
time? What kind of time do you think it takes for steel to disintegrate?
I'm not a scientist.
Oh, I'm well
If-
aware of
If
that.
I had to take a guess, I would say like
It depends on its exposure to the elements, oxidization, all that stuff.
yeah. I mean, let's see, maybe 700 years. No, it would be even less than that.
Duncan brought up
Anyways,
the movie The Iceman and told Joe what he thought it was about, and it's not about that. And Joe just went in on
I
it.
thought it was Encino Man.
No,
That's
this
a
is-
different
This is
movie.
Iceman, which I went and saw at the theater as a kid, and I thought
You
it was
did?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
I don't think I ever saw
It's
it.
a caveman or whatever is trapped in an ice block. They're in Antarctica or someplace, and they extract it. They have all these machines, and they thaw him out and revive him.
Yeah, it
And
sounds
he-
like Encino Man.
And he freaks out and jumps off a cliff, chasing a helicopter that he thinks is a skybird. But I thought it was really cool. The way Joe shits on it, I was really upset with Joe.
You were really upset with Joe over that.
But Duncan told him that at one point the Iceman falls in love with a girl, and like that doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
No. Anyways,
I thought Joe was reading the premise of the movie.
no, he was just going on hearsay from Trussell.
Okay.
The Americans need a Goldilocks party,
Go on.
just right. A little bit of everything, because that's sort of the problem with this tribalism. At least we have the guys of 3 parties here, or 4 if you consider the Green Party, which is the best party if Save the Planet's the best. But in America, they're stuck with you're either Republican or Democrat, and everyone's a little bit of each. But when push comes to shove, they have to choose a side. So if they had a third party, I'd call it the Goldilocks party, because everything's just right.
But it wouldn't be just right.
It would be just right for some
Just
people.
right doesn't exist, but it's their only way out.
I think it's a great idea and a stupid name.
And animal control is a weird sort of thing.
Animal control is a weird sort
We
of
love the
thing.
planet, but we have to kill some animals so we don't get killed. Or if we don't cull these, they'll overrun us, and
Yeah. I mean, we are the problem.
we are the problem. But we're supposed to kill them and eat them. That's my biggest
guess,
concern when things
right?
come
Like-
out, is saying stop eating meat.
Just as much as those
Heebie-jeebie.
animals are supposed to kill each other,
Yep.
we're supposed to kill them. I guess we're just not supposed to like breed them and kill them a million at a time, you know?
So wouldn't you agree then that the elitists are just trying to cull our population, Kamar, because we've been a little out of control?
I didn't think about the elitists till I heard elitists talk about the elitists.
But I thought
That was like in the third person. That's the
I
next
thought of
episode.
something
Why
great.
I'm an elitist?
No, Mark is.
I thought of something great, and it may be something they touch on in the next episode. But, if we're trying to get people to eat less meat, we still want people to eat meat, but we don't want to have to kill as many animals. We want to be able to eat meat where the animals are treated ethically, right? So you can't have as many of them at a time if they're free range. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All fast food should be like some genetic meat, some lab meat. When you go to McDonald's, I never think to myself, oh, that burger tastes so beefy and I just like that it tastes like a McDonald's burger. I don't know if that's because it's beef taste. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, the meat's like gray. It's not even close to meat.
All of the meats, unless you're going to like a good burger place.
Yeah, Five Guys.
All of those meats could be. When you go to Popeyes or to KFC, that could be some synthetic chicken. It might as well be synthetic chicken. You know what I'm saying, Maddie?
Yeah.
I think you're saying we should stop eating meat to save the planet and not worry about not eating meat.
No, I'm saying the people who want to eat real meat, we want that meat to be not fucking mass produce cattle on top of cattle on top of cattle. In order for that to happen, there can't be so much meat being, so there has to be some concession being made. Make that on the fast food end. Like I'm telling you, they could make that burger out of something else.
But as long as it's not mandated. As long as it gets to a point where, look, you can only eat this much meat a year.
God, I'm coming up. Yeah, sure.
Because that's a through line of this whole thing is the Klaus Schwab leadership. And I was thinking as they were talking, as long as to make the world a better place, you have to do it with violence in your back pocket. It's illegitimate. Would you agree with that? And we all live in that system. That at the end of the day,
I mean, you're assuming that
Yeah, but you
left on our own, we're going to do the right thing. And I'm not sure that's the case. You will, or not you. I will, and you will. But like, there are people who won't.
But Kamar, you also talk about how like violence is human nature. So I don't understand how you expect to live outside of that.
but to implement ideas and go in this direction.
First of all, I
So
find
at
it.
some point you just have to agree, or else.
Can I say this? I
Face
find
violence.
it wildly like the irony is so thick that Joe constantly brings up this you will own nothing and be happy. You are sponsored $100 million by Spotify. Their whole business model is don't buy music, rent it from us. Joe's podcast used to be available on Apple for free to everyone. You could download it so that you could listen to it without an internet connection. You can't do that with Spotify. You have to pay the $10 a month if you want to download Joe's episode. Otherwise, you have...
I can download Joe's episode.
You're not right there.
Okay, either way, it doesn't matter. The point is, it's exactly this business model. Guess what? Don't buy your music, rent it from us.
But what's weird is they say no one will own anything and be happy, but someone's got to own stuff. And who decides who that is?
Who says that?
Well, he played the clip. You didn't hear it?
I don't know what you're talking
The
about.
Klaus Schwab clip where he says you'll own nothing and you'll be happy in
I
2030
see. Yeah,
or whatever.
Gotcha.
But still, someone's got to own everything. Even if you rent it, I think it comes up with they bring it back up with Brian, but it's like that is sort of getting there now with the car share businesses and Airbnb. Like everything's starting to become this single use and then move on. But who owns and who decides who owns?
I mean, listen, car sharing is a fine idea.
I think so.
Like the idea of like there just being 100 or 50,000 Teslas around that whenever you need one, you can just hop in, put your card in.
It's a great idea, and trust me, the founder of that company is fucking made $1 billion. You know what I mean?
Because I'm like, we sit here and we
To your
bitch like
point,
to the
Kamar.
elitists, like, oh, it's you will own nothing and be happy. Like, yeah, there's certain things where like, listen, I said this a couple weeks ago, not being able to own a home is like a blight on society. I think everyone should be able to afford a house. It should be like it was in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be like there's no city in North America that you can live in now and make minimum wage.
Instead of a student loan, you should get a home loan from the government. And that's probably going to work out because even if you default, the government gets the house, sells it. It seems like a no failure. But you may have to get a house in Equalit, your starter home, where you come out in the lottery.
The same way you can get a student loan, you can get like a government mortgage loan.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's the most social thing I've ever said.
The problem though is then like we end up in the same place because everyone will buy a home, sit on it, live in it for 10, 15 years, fix it up, and then they'll want to sell it for 5 times what they bought it for. Because that's how we ended up here. Everyone bought our parents bought their homes in the 80s for like however much money.
Free market, man. You do it differently, and you're bringing in those regulations that you're fighting against, that you rail against.
Revolution. So yeah, it was 4 hours, and there's a lot more I could do, but there's actually a lot of crossover with the Brian episode.
With the Brian episode.
Mm-hmm.
With the Brian episode.
They did mushrooms in this episode, I take it? Or no?
I think they were just drunk and stoned,
Yeah, okay.
but they looked hilarious.
I mean, Duncan.
Joe looked better.
Duncan had to go do family stuff
Oh, yeah,
after,
so
so
probably
it
not,
seemed
you're
like
right.
he was like trying to keep it. I mean, I think that's where they're at now. You know what I mean? It's
Well, not Joe. Joe just does mushrooms whenever.
I'm sure
Yeah,
they'll have a fucked up one in the future. It's just
well, yeah. It sounds like he lives there now.
Yeah, Duncan has young kids. Like, I get it. You can't just be doing
definitely changed him.
mushrooms in the middle
Definitely
of the day.
changed him. He's more responsible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rate it.
I give it a 4.5.
I'll give it a 4.
I give it a 4. But I don't think Duncan should come up as much as he does.
Oh, in closing, we forgot to mention Duncan said one of the funniest things ever, where he's like, we take like hieroglyphs as like these like insane things that mean the world, and it could just be some dickhead back then just drawing fucking buffalo on the wall. I thought that was
Berserker.
exactly, or no, just like I was thinking about the amount of times I've written my name in fresh cement, and like 2,000 years from now, someone could be like, oh. Who was Matt? Was he a king, a god amongst men? You know what I mean? No.
Reminds me of Obey.
And it might not even be that. It may be like years and years later, you find this, rundown thing and do graffiti on it. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? We have no idea what the time frame even was. Anyways,
No, that's a good point. You could go find a ruin
this
and
is what
etch your name in the stone.
Well, this
Matt.
is exactly what happened in Egypt, Matt. And
Yeah.
then so some guy goes in and he writes, Corfu was an asshole.
Yeah.
And then they find only Corfu and they say, oh, Corfu built that temple. No, somebody built that temple thousands of years ago. And he wasn't even saying it was Corfu's temple. He was saying Corfu was an asshole,
Well, even something like Göbekli Tepe.
Göbekli Tepe. Yeah.
I knew Kumar would like that. Something like that. Like me and you could be, 3,000, 5,000 years ago, you and I are just walking through the desert in Turkey and we find, this is a cool looking ruin. And we just sit down, we have a fire, we make it our place for the night, and then we move on. And then 10,000 years later, someone's like carbon dating something and they're like, well, we found
They found the fire.
we found
Right,
wood
yeah,
and fire.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's
Yep.
like, oh, those guys were just passing through and they just happened to make
Dude,
camp where it was like
Crazy,
the most.
yeah. Right.
You never know.
Yeah, there could be one tiny pillar that we sat on to have our lunch that was just poking out of the sand.
That's what
'Cause
I'm saying.
That's how they found Göbekli
That's what I'm
Tepe.
saying. They had to dig deep. And this is what I'm saying. You and I could have just been like, oh, a perfect couple of rocks to make our camp for the
Oh
night.
yeah, carbon dating is it's the best we have.
Yeah.
But it's not a very accurate way to do it. And
No,
that's
you're
why
just taking samples from the
that's why-
surrounding
yeah,
area
they're-
and doing your best to.
just like everything else, it's an assumption that humans make. I find we do that a lot in our sciences. These assumptions that we've decided are laws instead of theories. And
But that's why, and I know this is a theory. That's why when I think about the pyramids, I'm like, we don't know for certain that they weren't just like expert at concrete. You know what I mean? Like they could have made the blocks like in place.
yeah, that's one of the theories.
I know it is, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, and then just given the amount of time since they made them, they seem like stone.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean? Because we don't have any sort of proof. Like we haven't been making concrete now for.
Well, they know that some of the stones are not like that because they
Sure,
know what
but-
kind of stone it is.
Okay, fine, but I'm just saying, there's you play that out in a million different ways, and
No, one of the theories of the pyramids, I don't know if it's like a recognized theory, but is that there was this like weird stone concrete thing they had invented and they were building them all using like molds.
yeah, I've heard that. Yeah,
I don't think that's how it was done. But
no,
I-
and fair
I
enough.
could
I don't
see-
care either way. I'm just my point is simply that, if given 10,000 years, like we don't know how good.
No, we're already know that like so now we can see the bottom stones are of like wherever some ancient ruin are different than the top stones,
Yeah,
the
they were like quarried nearby, right?
Well, the bottom ones are much bigger, way harder to move than the top stones would have been. It's because those bottom stones would have been the only thing left when a temple was destroyed, let's say, and then they would have come the next generation and built on top of that using the bottom stones that they couldn't move because they had no idea how to move them. Had they known how to move them, maybe we wouldn't even be having this conversation because they'd want to get rid of anything from the old civilization.
Either way, it goes back to my initial point, which was just that like the carbon dating thing, like I said, you and I could just be two nomads roaming. We light a fire at what is Göbekli Tepe, not knowing
Yeah.
jack shit. Then they find like a spearhead, You know what I mean? Because we have spears to keep ourselves safe, and then they carbon date that spearhead and go, oh well, there had to have been.
Hell, Matt, you could be carrying around an ancient tomahawk in your bag, and it falls out at that spot in Göbekli Tepe, and then they think it's even older than. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That's what I'm saying.
it's so dumb. We don't know anything. We don't know anything.
Well, we know a bit.
We hardly know anything.
All we know is that we don't know nothing.
We don't even know the things that we don't know.
Oh, that was deep. My point is, we do know stuff. It's constantly changing, obviously, because we're always revising.
Well, and that's why you can't get married to any ideas, and that's why even things that are written in textbooks should be easily changed. And hopefully now that everything is digital like this, there won't be so many, like... Because sometimes that's just it, you know, is it's too expensive to change something.
I think you're forgetting, like, as much as we find the world digital now, I don't think schools... schools move real slow.
They'll get there.
Like private schools move quickly, but public schools, they don't have the funding to. I don't think public schools are digital. Like I think they still have shitty textbooks.
I just don't. Fine, they're not now. In 10 years, they will be. You know.
Yeah, they should.
At the rate things are moving.
I mean, every desk should just be made by Apple, not Apple, but you know what I mean. It should just be an iPad, a giant iPad, and then all the.
It should be. That's a great idea, Matt. The iDesk.
Just to get rid of books altogether.
Well, I'm just saying, like Simon said, then you can update, like, oh, you know what? We just found out, because like Simon said, you could read an old encyclopedia and be like, oh my God, all of this is wrong. Not all, but you could read a whole section where you're like, this entire shit has been disproven in the last 10 years. But because you have an encyclopedia.
Encyclopedias go out of date real quickly nowadays. I was going to say, though.
And remember how much they used to cost? Like, I remember my mom, like, spent like tons of money we didn't have. Like when I was young, my mom and dad got divorced. We didn't have a lot of money, and she spent like a lot of money on these encyclopedias. Yeah.
But we lost internet this weekend all across Canada. No Rogers, right?
I'm on Bell, so I'm good.
Well, I'm just saying there was no Rogers for a day, and that just goes to show you, no, we want to print things in paper, man. Going all digital like this,
it's a problem, yeah.
Depending so much on this thing that somebody else has a switch to, fuck that. I'm full paper all the time. I gotta pee real bad, so
all right, we're gonna take a break, we're gonna pay a bill, and
keep your eyes open.
We'll be right back.
That's next one.